With over 150 pals in Palworld, it can be pretty difficult to decide which pals are the best to use for different tasks at your base. And after looking through every single one of these pals, I came up with 10 different pals that I would consider to be the best to use for each of these tasks. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Speaker, and today I wanted to give you all my top 10 best pals to use at your base. But before we get into this list, just a friendly reminder that if you enjoy any of the music you hear during this video or just want to support the channel in general, it's all part of my DMCA free music label, Speakerhead Studios. All the music on this label is completely DMCA free, so go ahead and use it for all of your content creating needs. We currently have over 60 songs available with more added frequently, so if you want to check that out, all the links will be in the description below. But with that out of the way, let's get back to the video. Now before I give you my top 10 best base pals, I do want to start off by mentioning that even though these pals are the best to use for base tasks, any pal has the potential to be a good worker if you know how to upgrade them properly. So at the end of this list, I'll also be showing you how to upgrade the work speed of all these pals so you can get the most efficiency out of your pals. But with that being said, let's actually get into the list. So starting with my first pal on this list, and that's going to be Yormintide. So to keep this short and sweet, Yormintide made this list because he's a level 4 in watering and there's no other pals that are at that same level. So even though he's only good in one base skill, he's really good at that skill, which is why I made this list. So moving on to the next pal on this list, and that's going to be Yormintide's fiery cousin, Yormintide Ignis. So just like regular Yormintide, he's only good in one base skill, and that's going to be kindling. That being said, also just like regular Yormintide, he's going to be a level 4 in that base skill, which is why he made the list. Moving on to my third pal on this list, and that's going to be Frost Stallion. So just like the previous two pals I mentioned, Frost Stallion is only able to do one base skill, and that's going to be cooling. However, also just like the pals I mentioned before, he's going to be a level 4 in this base skill. But because Frost Stallion is the only pal that is level 4 in cooling, this is why he made the list. Now, while the first few pals that I mentioned were all going to be single base skill pals, all the rest of these guys are going to be a little bit more diversified in their skills. But moving on to the next pal I have on this list, and that's going to be Blazamut. While Blazamut is a level 4 in mining, he's also a level 3 in kindling, which is two pretty good skills to have. And because he's good in both these skills, I had to add him to this list. But moving on to my fifth pal on this list, and that's going to be Anubis. So Anubis is definitely going to be your go-to handiwork pal with having a level 4 in that skill. That being said, Anubis is also a level 3 in mining, and a level 2 in transporting, which is pretty nice. But because Anubis is the best handiwork pal in the game, I had to add him to this list. Now moving on to the next pal on this list, and that's going to be Orsurk. So Orsurk's overall a pretty solid pal with him being a level 4 in electricity, a level 3 in transporting, and a level 2 in handiwork, which is a solid set of skills to have for electric pal. Because in most cases, your pal isn't going to be running electricity 24/7 unless you're running a lot of electrical stuff at one time, so most of the time he's just going to be standing around doing nothing. So having both these transport and handiwork skills available to do while he's not generating electricity is really awesome to have, which is why he made this list. Now moving on to our seventh pal on this list, and that's going to be Bellinor. Now Bellinor made this list because they're a level 4 in medicine production, a level 2 in handiwork, and a level 2 in transporting, which are all solid skills to have. Now I will admit that they're pretty difficult to get due to having to beat them in a raid boss in order to actually get the pal. But if you're looking for a pal that has the best medicine production skills, then Bellinor is definitely the pal for that skill. Now moving on to the next pal on this list, and that's going to be Wumpo. So Wumpo is actually a really solid worker with him being a level 4 in transporting, but then also being a level 3 in lumbering, a level 2 in handiwork, and also a level 2 in cooling. Now a good alternative for this guy is going to be the Wumpo Baton, and the only difference between them is that he's going to have a level 1 in gathering instead of a level 2 in cooling. But I personally found having that regular Wumpo to be much more useful, especially for later game when you get the Frozen Crusher. But because he has a level 4 in transporting, plus he's a pretty diverse pal and a bunch of other skills, that's why he made this list. But now moving on to my ninth pick for this list, and that's going to be Lillian. So Lillian is by far the best gardening pal with having a level 4 in planting, a level 2 in gathering, but then also having a level 3 in transporting, and also a level 3 in medicine production, which makes them a pretty diverse pal. But with this pal being a level 4 in planting and a level 2 in gathering, this is the pal that I use for all of my gardens in the game. And that's exactly why Lillian made the list. But now moving on to the final pal I have on this list, and that's going to be Nochlum. So besides Nochlum being one of the most powerful pals in the game, he's actually a pretty good base pal as well. With him having a level 4 in transporting, a level 3 in mining, and a level 3 in gathering, these are some pretty solid skills to have in one single pal. But because Nochlum has a great combination of high-leveled base skills, that's why he made the list. But with that last pal, that's going to be my top 10 picks for the best base pals in the game. If you were to have at least one of each of these pals at your base, you would have at least a level 3 in every single base skill. But as I mentioned earlier, if you really want to get the best work speeds out of your pal, you need to know how to upgrade them. And the first way to upgrade your pal's work speed is by hitting that subscribe button and liking the video. I guarantee this will definitely upgrade your pal's work speed, I promise. Anyways, I actually already explained how to do this in one of my previous videos, so instead of explaining it all again, I'm just going to play that same video clip here. So without further ado, let's get upgrading. Now, in order to get the max work speed for any pal, the first thing you need to do is breed your pals that have the best passive skills to boost work speed. The best combination I could find was going to be Artisan, Work Slave, Serious, and Lucky. With this combination of passive skills, this will give your pal an extra 115% boost in work speed. That being said, with Lucky being a hard passive skill to get due to needing to find a lucky pal with the skill in the first place, the next best skill you could go with would be Conceited, which gives a 10% work speed boost compared to Lucky's 15% work speed boost. But after you get your pal with the perfect passive skills, the next step is to upgrade your pal in the Condenser. So many players know that upgrading a pal in the Condenser upgrades the pal's special ability along with their general stats. However, I don't think as many players know that once a pal is upgraded to max in the Condenser, that pal will gain an extra level in every base skill that it has. Now, to upgrade a pal to max level in the Condenser, it takes 117 pals to do this. That being said, the reason why this is step 2 is because it most likely took you quite a few attempts to get the perfect pal with the passive traits you wanted. So assuming you didn't butcher all your failed pal attempts, you should have enough pals saved to condense your pal to max level. Now, once you're all done finished condensing, the next thing you want to do is upgrade your pal's work speed in the Statue of Power. By using 10 small pal souls, 6 medium pal souls, and 6 large pal souls in the Statue of Power, your pal will gain an additional 30% boost in work speed. Now for the next step, you want to build all of these structures somewhere on your base. All of these structures give work speed boosts based on which structures are built at your base. For example, if you wanted to upgrade a pal's watering speed, then you'd want to build a fountain. But having all these structures built at your base will drastically improve the work speed of all your pals. Now moving on to the final step in upgrading your pals, and that's by giving them food that will increase their work speed. For this, I'd recommend going with either salads or Mazzarina hamburgers. While hamburgers do give a greater work speed boost to your pals, salads are much easier to produce, so it's really up to the player on which they prefer to use. But assuming you went with the best upgrade options I previously mentioned, your pals should have an extra 195% work speed boost. Now, just like my previous video demonstrating the work speed difference, I set up a test using Wumpos to show off how much of a difference these upgrades make. However, for this experiment, I changed their task to chopping wood since Wumpos have a level 3 in lumbering, which would be similar levels to the pals I mentioned before. But with that quick explanation out of the way, let's get into the experiment. Alright, so I got the experiment all set up right here with our 2 Wumpos ready to go. To the right here, I have regular Steve, who's just going to have regular work speed stats. And then to our left here is going to be Super Steve, which is going to have our upgraded stats we talked about. But the plan is I'm going to take both these stacks of wood at the same time and see how fast both of our Wumpos can work. So without further ado, let's get into the experiment. Alrighty, so it's been a couple minutes now, and as you can see, Super Steve is absolutely killing it compared to just regular Steve. But as I mentioned before, having a really well upgraded pal really does make a massive difference when it comes to their work speed. But with this little experiment out of the way, let's get back to the other me. So as you can tell, knowing how to properly upgrade your pal's work speed can drastically improve the efficiency of base tasks. But with that, that's going to be my video on my top 10 base pals plus how to upgrade them. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this list or if there's any pals or upgrades I might have missed. Also, once again, if you enjoyed the music you heard in this video or just want to support the channel in general, it's all part of my music label, Speakerhead Studios. Links in the description below. But that's all I gotta say for now, so thank you so much for watching. I'll catch all y'all in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.